every single time that I come out here and do one of these shows. And it's really interesting. You know, I do think something that has given someone like myself the opportunity to do a job like this and be able to do it full time is pretty simple. I think it's pretty simple, mainly due to the fact that some of the traditional stuff might be a little bit dead. And the reason I bring that up is I look at the AP poll, like as an example, and I see some of the voters that do vote on the AP poll. And I don't know if we need to continue to bring this up because it's not necessarily LSU related, but maybe one day it will be. But I do think it sets a little bit of an understanding about how people in college football think about the sport. Let me explain. You know, I saw South Florida upset the University of Florida last Saturday. In week 1, I saw Florida State beat the University of Alabama. And the question that I have is how, when I see some of the votes in the AP poll from some of the quote-unquote media, how do you have Florida and how do you have Alabama ahead of the two teams that they lost to? The only thing in a ranking, maybe not a rating, like a power rating, like, hey, I think this team is still better even though they lost. In a ranking, South Florida, for what it's worth, probably should be in the top 10 because of what they've done. Example, they beat a top 25 Boise State team and then beat a top 15 Florida team. So if that's the case, and let's just say that any other logo in college football, like let's just say, for an example, let's just say that, hell, even A&M did that, or let's say LSU did that, or Arkansas, or hell, even Ole Miss. Say any other team in the country that's a part of the P4 would have beat two ranked opponents in 2 weeks, regardless of who it is. The likelihood that they're in the top 15 to top 10 is probably pretty strong. But I think it's something that we need to point out. And I see some of you who disagree with everything that I say. Oh, well, why does it matter? The reason that I think it matters is because some of the same logic of what we see around the sport is literally happening in the playoff selection committee. Well, Blake, they're going to a model with strength of schedule matters. Yeah, it's a part of it. It's not the whole thing. Guys, when mathematicians and accountants are a part of this, when politicians like Condoleezza Rice are a part of the playoff selection committee, and you see some of the logic by your own media about who they think the top 25 teams in the country are, well, you know, I've been asked a lot of times, well, you're not credentialed. You're not credentialed. That's why you don't go to games. It's not necessarily the case. I will go to a Brian Kelly press conference on a Monday or just one day randomly show up to a game in the press box. All of that being said, we have gotten to a place where we got to get to we got to limit some of these situations when it matters. Does any national title before 1998 really matter? Because the media were the people who were voting on this. Hell, LSU beat Alabama until the final week when they won the SEC championship in 2019. Guys, remember, everybody, the debate was in 2019, if you remember, was LSU going to be ranked number 1 or were they going to be ranked number 2? You should remember that selection show. I don't blame anybody, but the reason I don't go to games is because we do a national college show, or I do a national college football show. How can you pay attention when you cannot legitimately watch the games? Do you have the time to constantly go back and watch every single game? Like, for an example, do you know that Georgia had 5 attempts at the red zone and didn't get in versus Austin Peay? Did you watch the entire LSU Louisiana Tech game? Have you watched Jonah Coleman at Washington? Have you seen Arkansas play at all? Have you seen Casey Concepcion at Texas A&M? Have you seen Craver? Or are you just watching some of the big things? It's not easy. But I say this to say, I do think that we have allowed people that maybe shouldn't have a vote in the AP poll, but even people that have a voice in the college football playoff selection also has too big of a voice. Guys, they literally announced people that they had hired to be a part of the selection committee, and they literally hired a mathematician, a politician, and an accountant in the last 3 times that they had selection committees. Please make it make sense to me. Please make it make sense to me, because it really doesn't. It really doesn't. There were a lot of people in the media that I question if they watched any of these games. The main thing is I don't know how you can have South Florida behind Florida when they played them on the field. We've gotten to a place where South Carolina can beat Clemson at Clemson. And because of automatic qualifiers, because it's the right thing to do, South Carolina doesn't get in over Clemson. Did any of y'all see the heroic comeback that Baylor had versus SMU? The Fighting Dave Arandas, they fought strong. What if SMU runs the table in the ACC for the rest of the way? I don't know how we do it. Should Baylor be ranked? Baylor lost to Auburn, and they beat SMU. Should Auburn be ranked? Auburn blew out Baylor, and SMU was the top 25 team that lost literally to Baylor. So what do we make of that? It's a tough decision to make. But South Florida might be the best G5 team in the country, and they got a big one this weekend in Miami. So we'll see. All right. Let's get to it here. You're not here to talk about the AP poll. I know what you're here to talk about. We're going to recap the LSU and Louisiana Tech game, things that we saw here. Brian Kelly met with the media. We'll get to that as well. Oh, and by the way, we're going to get a little look-see into the University of Florida. LJ McCray out. One of their big defensive linemen is Caleb Banks, the interior defensive lineman for Florida, going to play on Saturday. I still think he's the best interior defensive lineman in the country. I could be wrong. I don't know. I think he is. Is he going on Saturday? Is Braylon Moore and Trades Green going to go on Saturday too? I don't know about Trades Green, but Brian Kelly made it seem that the high ankle sprain might not be a high ankle sprain. And maybe we'll see what he does tomorrow, and we'll see how he goes throughout the week. Maybe he can play. I do not know. All right. Stephen Fry, good friends over at Fry Construction. You can go over to Fry Construction, Eunice, Louisiana. 337-457-5100. That's 337-457-5100. Gravel and dirt work, oil and gas, they do it all. Literally. They're like the thing in Eunice, Louisiana. There's LSUE and there's Fry Construction. Literally. Just letting you be known. He says, we are live. I kind of missed the old school intro. I know. People said I yelled at him too much. So, but we are live. Maybe we'll bring it back one day. Just for you, Stephen. Just for you. Harry Wilson with a $5 super chat says, special teams issues, missed kicks, unable to line up, taking timeouts and penalties. Is there concern yet? Oh, heavens, yes, there's concern. You know, Brian Kelly led off, and thank you, Harry, for the super chat, my friend. Brian Kelly led off today's press conference like, man, I really wish post games were on Mondays when we can go back and watch the film. No, I'm glad that they're after the game because we get your genuine response. But he said it wasn't as bad. No, offensively, it was bad. Offensively, you got things you got to clean up. Guys, listen, I thought that there were some things, and look, we're going to discuss this tonight a lot, Harry. I don't like the missed kicks. I don't like the muff punt. I don't like the situations where you say, well, 3-3-5 is tough to run against. No, it's not. No, it is not. If you got an offensive line that is aggressive and can push some people up front, guys, they have 6 bodies. Take it right at them. Like, literally take it right at them. You just can't get pushed around by a 280-pound nose tackle either. You can't lose your center. I mean, and that's a big deal. But are there some concerning things? Yeah, we'll talk about them when we recap this game and we talk about it. We're going to do that next out of the break. But yes, it is very, very, very concerning for me. Is it, oh my God, panic time? No, not remotely close. Because I think your defense is going to keep you in a lot of games. It's not panic time. Even if you, God forbid, lose against Florida, it's not panic time. Because if I would have told you 3 weeks ago, in the first 2 weeks, you would average 20 points, that you would have said, okay, well, then Garrett got hurt, or we're just really, really bad on offense. This offensive line's really bad. What would the talking points have been? You can't run the football. What would the talking points have been? Guys, you're averaging 20 points per game. Louisiana Tech is listen, do I think they're good defensively or solid defensively? Sure. Guys, you cannot keep forcing that many 3-and-outs and have 23 points. Maybe it is some form of a letdown and lethargic. Maybe it is. But now you get to go out in week 3 and show that it was. That's what you get to do, and that's what makes your sport so great. Makes the sport so great. Jay Smack says 337 is in the building. Good to have you in here with us. Dane Bergeron says he's stuck in the Dallas airport trying to get home to the God's country of the great 337. Yeah, man. Flights these days, man. Absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. But it's true. Ryan says that Baylor SMU game was wild. I don't think Auburn should be ranked. Well, I mean, this is what I ultimately think about the AP poll. People don't want to be wrong and don't want to shift their idea about what actually happened on the field. I'm not saying Auburn should or shouldn't be ranked. What I'm saying is you can't have SMU ranked, okay, and then they lose to Baylor, and then Auburn extends themselves on the road and extends the lead on them, and then not. Is that what we're doing? Is that what we're doing? I don't know. Oh, Paul Sub Martin. I knew he was coming with something here. But Paul Sub Martin says Saturday was the fewest points we scored against Louisiana Tech since 1913. On the flip side, defense snapped a Louisiana Tech 4-game streak of scoring at least 10 points against us. How about that? And really and truthfully, they shouldn't have scored 7. Here's the truth. They shouldn't have scored 7. I think we all know that. I think we all know that. Mask. I'm just going to say your name is Mask. Mask on YouTube says, I try not to say anything about Brad Davis because he's a good recruiter, but man, these guys are just soft. They're not playing to the standard of what you need them to play at right now. And we have to have a discussion about that, Mask. We do. We absolutely do. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to have that discussion. All right. Everybody let's get rolling here. Everybody do us a favor. Hit the like and share. If you're on Facebook, share to all those groups. Share to all those social media pages. You're watching us, listening to us on YouTube. Like, subscribe, notification bell, wherever you listen to podcast. Rate, review, and subscribe. Every episode is brought to you by our good friends over at FanDuel. You got some discretionary income? Go sign up over at FanDuel. My $1 20-leg parlay did not hit again this week. That shout out to Florida for not letting it happen. Did go 18-2, just went a whole bunch of money lines to try to get it. Regardless of that, thank you, Florida, for losing it. But it's fun. If you want to go have fun, go over to FanDuel and do it. If you have the discretionary income. If you don't go over there. If you need help, call 1-800-GAMBLER or go to FanDuel.com/RG for more assistance. Go sign up. It's fun. Do you think Garrett is still going to win the Heisman? Do you think that Castellanos, or do you think that some of these other quarterbacks are starting to climb up like John Mateer this past week when they beat Michigan? Who do you think is going to win that? Do you think LSU is going to be and cover the 9.5 over at FanDuel? If you do, go over there and place that bet. We greatly appreciate our good friends over at FanDuel for always being a sponsor and a partner with us over here at AYS. All right. Let me get rolling here. Quick break. When we come back, we recap the Louisiana Tech game. What does LSU quite simply have to get better at? We talk about that next. Stay with us.
He will sell your house and find you a new. Well, Tyler's the man. He's here for you. If you want to buy or sell, well, it's not too late. Call 955-0008. Just call 955-0008. Y'all call Tyler. He'll shoot you straight.
Hey guys, I want to tell you about our good friends over at Red Stick Financial. They're your local residential mortgage broker located right here in the heart of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. At Red Stick Financial, they find the bank that works for your particular set of needs to purchase the home of your dreams or refinance the current one. They truly are your partners in this process, and they pride themselves in helping individuals and families with one simple goal in mind, and that is to make home financing approachable, attainable, and stress-free. They are licensed in all Louisiana, Texas, and Mississippi. So from Amarillo to Meridian and everything in between, they have you covered. Red Stick Financial brings you creative, customized solutions, and they don't believe in the one-size-fits-all when it comes to loans. They even have special options for mobile and manufactured homes located in a flood zone and stated income financing for those of us who are self-employed borrowers. If you or someone you know is looking to buy a home, refinance an existing mortgage, or simply want to know what options are out there for your future, give Red Stick Financial a call today at 225-407-9250. That's 225-407-9250. Or check them out online at redstickfinancial.com. That's redstickfinancial.com. Before you purchase the home of your dreams or you go and do that refinance, you need to go local. Go Red Stick. We're back. All right. Let's get to it here. As I sit here on a Monday night, or let me rephrase that. You know, since Saturday night, I've had a thought that has been going around in my mind that I've been trying to get the answer to. Now, all of you in the comments, or all of you that are here live watching us, you may have the answer. And if you do have the answer, you think you have the answer, tell us in the chat what you think that it is. But my question has been simple since Saturday night after the game, even into today. What is the offensive identity for this team? You know, last year, at least I felt like I knew what your identity was. You weren't going to be able to run the football effectively in big games against tough opponents. You were going to be able to throw the ball all over the place if you needed to. You were going to turn the ball over in critical situations when you did not need to. But you were going to try to be explosive and get down the field and be vertical. And that was something that for sure that we knew the identity of this offense was a season ago. The question that I had and asked myself all offseason was that when you have guys at wide receiver going into the season of 2025, I thought that the game plan or what you were going to try to do to teams was definitely get vertical a lot. Chris Hilton, Aaron Anderson, Barryon Brown, Nick Anderson showed at Oklahoma that he definitely can be vertical, and Trey'Dez Green. I thought that you were going to be a little bit more explosive than what you've shown from a vertical passing standpoint. Now, everything that we know we will get to. But the question that I ask myself right now is that everything that we thought that we knew, is that the case? Now, I do think against Louisiana Tech, there were times where you did try to get vertical. Barryon Brown had a quote-unquote drop, and I'm not getting that discussion with all of y'all again here on what we consider a drop is or isn't. But the deep drag route to Barryon Brown that was quote-unquote dropped or missed, the deep over route from Barryon Brown in the first half that's sailed and behind Barryon Brown and he can't make the catch. The fade route to Barryon Brown that was massively overthrown, and if placed in the right direction, probably could have been 6. I think that there are and have been moments and times that you've tried it, that it hasn't worked. Now, you did against Clemson. You just didn't get the ultimate points and results that you wanted it. But I don't know if, quite frankly, you are doing it enough, at least doing it enough to the playmakers that you possibly have. Now, the question that I will ask here tonight is Xavier Thomas got a role and have a role in this offense? Without a doubt, he does. Without a doubt, he does. And I understand that you don't want to take Barrion Brown. You don't want to take Aaron Anderson off the field, but you want to utilize Xavier Thomas. And you keep putting him out at X, meaning the X far boundary receiver. Now, I don't know if that's to his strengths. But one thing is for sure, whether you think they're dropping the ball, whether you think it's play calling, or whether Garrett has not been able to throw the ball accurately enough and pushing the ball down the field, which, guys, quite honestly, against Louisiana Tech, he couldn't do it effectively. He just, quite honestly, was not effective at doing it. I don't know what the issue was, but there was a problem and a lot of throws that you missed. I think you're searching for what your identity is. The good thing in searching for your identity for this offense, you have been able to win 2 games. You've been able to go to Clemson and beat them, which I don't care that Clemson beat Troy and had to come back to beat them. I don't really care about that. Let the season play it out, and we'll find out how good or bad they are. We won't really think about that Troy game in a big light other than a positive for Clemson if they go and win the ACC again. It'll be a moot point. But what I do think is that, yes, you focus so much on Clemson and you had a letdown. But it doesn't mean that you don't have it in you. Doesn't mean that you can't be flat. Doesn't mean that you can't offensively not be in the same connection that you need to be. I do think that you've tried to find an identity of one thing, and that is balance. Brian Kelly talked about that a lot before the season. He talked about it a lot in week 1. He talked a lot about it in week 2, and he's talked about it today on Monday. We are trying to find the best amount of balance for the run game and getting Garrett the ball down the field. Sounds great. Don't disagree with that logic. What happens when you can't stay balanced? You're staying balanced and trying to do some unique things in the run game to try to open things up in the passing game, and you're missing them. There were some throws, I thought, on Saturday. So to lead off and recap of the game. Guys, the God's honest truth is there are some throws that I know that Garrett today and even on Sunday and probably even during the game is wishing he had back. You got bailed out against Clemson. You got bailed out against Louisiana Tech, and some bad decisions that turned into pass interferences. Like, before we even get to the red zone, we threw 2 fade routes to Trey Green, which I don't necessarily mind from the slot, but they were still overthrown. They were still really bad passes. And it's Trey Green, even though I think he's electric, is he the person that I want to throw an inside fade route to on the opposite side of the 50? Why wouldn't I try to get that to Aaron? Why wouldn't I try to get that to Barrion Brown? Why wouldn't I try to get that to Xavier? Why wouldn't I try to get that to Chris Hilton? I think that you came into the season saying we are very good on defense. We're not going to do things that beat us offensively early in the season. But, guys, I think that Florida, coming into this week, especially now that they lost against South Florida, now they certainly have something that they have to prove. But the first thing that I open up with is I do think from a play calling standpoint, I think you did take times and moments to try to get vertical. You had drops, one from Xavier, one I guess I'm going to give you. Even though I don't agree with it, I think it was an ill-advised, not ill-advised throw, but a bad throw to Barrion Brown on the third quarter deep drag. Whether it's drops, whether it's bad throws, it doesn't really matter. You're not consistent enough there. And you are not good enough in the running game, whether it is against Clemson or whether it is against Louisiana Tech, to be able to let that carry you when you try to figure some things out throwing the football. Guys, the God's honest truth is, for me, and in no specific order, you tried and you failed. So either you weren't focused, you weren't locked in, you don't have the timing down. I don't know what it is. I don't know if Garrett's just off with timing, but guys, there are bad throws in there. Sure, there are some plays that need to be made. Fine. There's some no disagreement there. I don't think the offensive line was bad enough when you had time to make the throw that you need to make that throw against this opponent. It was a letdown. The run game was a letdown. I know Brian Kelly today said that he thinks it's a challenge to run against a 3-3-5 defense, meaning you have 3 down linemen, an end, a nose, an end, 3 backers, and 2 rovers at safety. He thinks it's difficult for you to do that. I disagree. I just do not agree with that. You had multiple situations where you went 12 personnel. You had multiple situations where you had 6 guys to block 6. 5 offensive linemen and a tight end versus their 6 that's in the box. You had a lot of opportunities to run the football. And guys, you had the same amount of rushing yards that you did against Southeastern, or that Southeastern had against Louisiana Tech. It's not good enough. Did Louisiana Tech really beat up on in the second half Southeastern? Yeah, but they were tied with them damn near at half. It's 3-0. It's not like any of these issues that you faced in the run game. It's not like any of these issues that you faced in pushing the ball down the field are something that you have not or should have not been working on all season. This is an inferior opponent, and I do think there's times in situations where it's a little lazy to say. Actually, guys, it's very lazy to say sometimes, oh, we just had a letdown. You're coming down off of a massive win. Sounds good. I understand what you're saying in that. It happens to a lot of teams, a lot of places. Hell, look at Georgia. I get it. But it doesn't stop the fact that those things have got to be corrected. If you would have been better in week 1 against a lesser opponent, maybe we'd say, oh, who knows? Because you've scored 40 points. And again, I give you, it's a really good opponent in week 1. But whether it is the passing game and timing being off or bad throws or bad decisions, or it's the run game that you want to discuss, there are just things that simply got to get cleaned up. What I feel that the narrative here has been with DJ Chester, who I don't think played great at all, but it's all on DJ Chester of why they got pushed around, or it's Weston Davis. Weston Davis in the second half, none of it was his fault when you try to go inside zone run to the left side of your offensive line and you get hit at the line of scrimmage. That's not on Weston Davis. This wasn't really on DJ Chester either when you go back and watch it. But guys, this has been an issue. And I think that you have a couple of weeks where you can and should work some things out. Because there is going to be a week where your defense, just somebody has their number. And the question will be, can you keep up with them? Is it this week? Is it this week? I don't know. I do not know. But when I look at this team, there are 3 main questions offensively that we have to start asking. Actually, 4. Let's start with the offensive line. Braylon Moore is the anchor of your team offensively right now. I think he's just been so good in the game and one play that we've seen, even going back to Virginia Tech, that you pray to God that he's fine. And it was just like, hey, you were trying to do some things. I mean, guys, the truth is they were trying to get him back in the game. And I think that they just made a conscious decision saying, no, let's keep him out. Let's see what his, status is this week. Because it doesn't stop what happened with the other 4. DJ Chester didn't have a bad enough game where it should have overall affected everything else in the run game or in the pass game. Situations were bad, and I get it. I'm not excusing him. But you got to be able to find ways to run the football. You must. If he's not getting it done there, then you got to figure that out too. And you might need to figure it out this week. And find somebody that can back up Braylon Moore in case you really need it. Because if you can't and if you don't, then what? But I think you're trying to be way too creative offensively sometimes because you have to be. You can't simply run up and pound the football. So you're doing jet sweeps, you're doing motions, you're doing reverses, and you're doing things with Xavion Thomas. which I understand. I fully understand that you have to be creative because your offensive line just isn't getting the push that it needs to get. And that is fair. And I don't think that that's all on Joe Sloan. Quite frankly, I think he feels like that he's trying to do everything he can to generate a run game. Brad Davis and this unit has got to figure it out. This is 2 seasons or a season and 2 games where you just, guys, you ran for 108 and 128. You're dead last in the SEC in rushing right now. And I know Brian Kelly said today, well, we hadn't played the SEC team, so how do we know? Well, we know because you should not be having the same amount of rushing yards that Southeastern had versus Louisiana Tech. You just shouldn't. You shouldn't. So, I don't know the answer. I do think that they have, if we're going to break it down from offensive line, I think that it's been bad technique. I think it's been a lack of aggression. I think it's just been, quite honestly, guys, that they have better players than you do sometimes. And that is unfortunate. But it's more than just that, too. I think that there's moments and times that some of the guys just don't know their responsibilities. I don't think they know the responsibilities on every single down. So when you combine being out physicaled, not knowing what you need to do, and just quite simply that there's an athlete that's better than you, the other side of the football, it's not going to generate success. I know you've recruited that position well. From a star rating standpoint, you are correct. Either you're not developing well or maybe you missed. Which one is it? But 108 rushing yards versus Clemson is not a great day. It's not a bad day, but it's not a great day. You did enough. Having 128 rushing yards on the amount of attempts, guys, Caden Durham had 13 carries for 38 yards. In what world is that acceptable? It's not. So call it lackadaisical, call it Louisiana Tech just wanted to punch you in the mouth, say that they got a good defense. I don't care. The truth is that I don't think that you know assignments well enough in some of these positions, and I think you're just flat out getting out physicaled. The second point that I would bring up here is this. I think your wide receiver rotation has got to be condensed. I agree with Carter on this. I do not mind at all getting Xavier Thomas touches and looks, but I don't think that he is an X receiver, meaning I don't think he's the far right boundary or far left boundary receiver. You have 2 of the same players in Aaron Anderson and Xavier Thomas. I think you are limiting yourself in some things that you can do by having him there. I understand that they want him at X because they can motion him, put him in certain situations where they can run the football. That's really fine and well. But the problem that you have in that is, guys, when you've been doing some of these things with Xavier in the backfield, you're running 2 and maybe 3-man routes. On the motion back to Xavier Thomas, you're going play action and you have a 2-man route. Now, it worked against Louisiana Tech. You just missed Barryon Brown. And I understand that the thought process from a play calling standpoint was Garrett's got to make a better throw. I don't disagree with that. But the drop and some of the physicality stuff and some of the run plays that you had when you're motioning him inside or you're putting him inside, guys, you have 2 slot guys on the field at the same time, which I would rather, and I don't care who it is, Nick Anderson and Chris Hilton has got to start getting looks there. I don't like the rotation I'm seeing from Hankton. If they don't know the plays, that's on you. That is on you if you're Cortez Hankton. That wide receiver rotation has got to be condensed. Got to be. And I don't think, if you want to put Xavier in the backfield, here's the solution. Put him in the backfield. Put him in the backfield. If you want to put him in the backfield and let him run a route, it's a lot of things for a linebacker and a safety to have to figure out. All right, well, you know what? against Florida, if he's in the backfield, they just threw him a flare route and he got 7. So actually, they will throw the football with him. And you have an experienced quarterback, or you should have enough of an experienced quarterback that even in pass protection, if he's called upon to do that, Garrett say, hey, see that defensive end right there? He's coming. Or that outside backer right there? He's coming. Or, hey, you see that linebacker right there? Run right at him. He's coming, and protect me for 3 seconds. I think you're strong-arming yourself. I do. I think you're trying to be so balanced that, guys, they know what you're doing. Line him up back there. Having Caden Durham or Juwan Johnson in the game and motioning him back and having Juwan Johnson as a glorified fullback, I get what you're trying to do. I get it. You're trying to run the football in creative ways. But I don't think Xavier Thomas, which we should figure this out. I mean, what was Chris Hilton at the end of the season? Last year in this last game, he had 4 catches for 118 yards. Can you get some of these other guys involved? Can you be this is the part where I think, hey, we've been creative, but in the creation, you got to get some playmakers that are out there that have been a receiver and have done this at a high level at the X position. Xavier is a slot guy and always has been. He is a good player. But you limit yourself in what you're doing. Because they knew, literally, Louisiana Tech's head coach on the halftime literally stated that we know, literally on the microphone, we know that 6 is going to go deep on us, and we know that 1 is going to try to get vertical through the middle. They didn't care what Xavier was doing. They didn't care. They did when he went into the backfield, and everybody's going after him in the run game, and it's why Barrion Brown was so open. I get what you're trying to do, but you're going to have to give some guys some other looks. I don't think Kyle Parker has made as many plays in college football as Nick Anderson or Chris Hilton. I had a couple of comments. What has Chris Hilton done? Well, he was your leading wide receiver the last 2 weeks of the season. Last week, you try to be a vertical team without Chris Hilton with 2 wide receivers that are sub 44-6 guys. And now you want to roll that back for the sanctity of balance. I get what you're trying to do. I understand it. But I don't think the rotation at that X position is one that's worth it. Why not put Xavier in the slot and motion him back from there? I don't know. But I would really love to know what's happening in some of these decisions. I don't. What I would say in reference to the play calling is, why do you have 2 5'8" receivers and one at X and 1 in the slot? You got to get Chris Hilton and Nick Anderson the football. You need to. I think that you have better overall receivers on the sidelines. I do. Sloan's play calling. Let's get to this. The third point. The play calling decisions, I don't think were bad in the sense of there are instances in the passing game specifically where guys, quite honestly, dudes are wide open. I know Preston Guy did some of this today, but I mean, they are wide open. You have some bad throws and some bad decisions. So even though I think that Xavier should not be out there at X, doesn't mean that you didn't miss a lot of things and make wrong decisions. I don't think Sloan has shown anything to get the benefit of the doubt for this to continue to happen. You have not been consistent in the run game. I get it. That's not all on him. Brad Davis is a part of that too. But the pass game and the quarterback development is on you. And missing some of these situations and having some of these situations directly is on you. So I think that they're trying to do so much because they think that they have to do it all themselves. Instead of, hey, we're going to play conservative here. We're just going to throw the ball quickly. We're going to take one deep shot and it hit. But don't throw fade routes to Trey Green when you have two sub 4.2 wide receivers. Like, I get in the red zone trying to get Trey Green the football, right? I get it. And I think that Trey should get more touches when it's necessary. But I also think that there's a situation where that you have literally two guys that run a sub 4.2 40, and you're not playing one of them who was your leading receiver the last two games of the season. Why? Doesn't know plays? I find it very hard to believe. And you can't throw him out there one play and Garrett make a bad decision on a throw and say, oh, that's all Chris Hilton's fault. You can't do that. Brian Kelly today said that Chris Hilton's got a big role in this team. Where is it? Where is it? We'll see. Something else I don't understand. Why are we going into 13 personnel and spreading the ball out? Meaning, why do we have 3 tight ends on the field and we're going spread? Why? I get you're trying to throw screens and you're trying to get blockers out there. I understand it. Why in the hell are we going 13 personnel and spreading the football out? And then we try to run the football. Why? You're literally, it defeats the purpose of having Donovan Green and Bauer Sharp lined up for you to throw a slant or throw a screen to Juwan Johnson. I don't get that. I think it worked against Clemson. That's creative. That is creative. The diamond formation where you motion out Barryon Brown and you try to hit him on a fade, that's not on Joe Sloan, guys. That should have been 7. But some of these situations, I just don't understand. I feel like you're trying to get Bauer Sharp in the game more. You're trying to get Donovan Green in the game more. You're trying to get all these different people in the game to see what happens. But you don't have time because Florida's here. I don't care they lost to South Florida. I'm going to say it all week. I do not understand that. Last but not least, offensively. When I look at Louisiana Tech and I look at the performance that you had, I've said it a lot of times, I don't think I need to continue to reemphasize. Guys, I think Garrett did not have a good game at all. I think there were moments and times where he did make some good throws. I thought that there were some moments and times that I wish he would have tried to fight out of a sack or run the football. I don't know if he's hurt, lethargic. I have no idea what's going on. You can't be in his situation and be a second-year starter and have some of the misses that he's having. I think all of us understand that. Then you start asking, well, what did you work on? The Clemson game, you were prepared and ready to go. I felt like this is when I wrap everything in the bow offensively. This is what I ultimately feel like. I think you were prepared from a staff perspective in a lot of regards. I don't think that you were prepared or cared in moments and times offensively. I think that you look like you had a lack of focus. I think that you just were lollygagging and thought, I could just throw this thing out there. Barryon's going to get it. And they picked you off. The other in route to Barryon Brown, guys, that Garrett threw in the SEC gets picked off. It's an exceptional throw. It gets picked off in the SEC. It will get picked off this week. And you know which play I'm talking about if you watch the game. Guys, can you be better? Yes. I don't really think that there's anywhere but up for you offensively. I think when you are in a situation where, ironically, it's so crazy because I feel like you have better personnel at receiver and a better running back rotation for what it's worth. But I don't understand why you were trying to be so aggressive and vertical and throwing the ball all over the place. I get you had a better offensive line with Emory Jones and Will Campbell, and you felt more protected. Maybe that is ultimately the case. Maybe that is the case. Why did you not go into the game and try to throw the ball around? Why are you going 12 and 13 personnel? Why are you not trying to absolutely obliterate them? I felt like you were too conservative. We want to be balanced. Sounds good. When you're not being able to be balanced and you can't run the football on them, stop banging your head up against the wall. Well, Blake Garrett's not having a good day. I don't give a shit. Your defense isn't giving up anything. I felt like you just kept taking your foot off the gas over and over and over again. Over and over and over again. It beats the hell out of me that you try to throw as many fade routes as you did to Kyron Lacy when now you have two sub 4.2 guys and you're not really giving them the chance. Not enough. Guys, if it were me, this is just me. If it were me, like I said on Thursday, guys, I'm coming out throwing the ball all over the place. I'm throwing it all over the place, and then second quarter, guys, basically, I almost said it, but I didn't. I basically said, listen, you can get Caden, well, I did say this, you can get Caden Durham some touches, but if you literally have 15 to 20 passing attempts, 18 passing attempts in the first quarter, I don't care. I don't care. Open it wide open because it takes everything off of your run game. So what if you're missing it? So what if you're missing it? I get the Braylon Moore injury significant. I get it. And we're going to talk about after the break what Brian Kelly said. I get it. I get it. I don't understand your identity. And that's the problem that I have with play calling. I think you get too skittish. I think you get too, coach wants to be balanced. I mean, yeah, sure, he wants to be balanced. But if you go in there and you open that thing, what he's not telling you not to, you gotta reduce it down. I mean, this feels like in a lot of ways the 2022 season in the first couple of weeks without the running ability from the quarterback position. It's funny, I compared this team to 2022 with a better defense. But it is what it is. I will tell you this too. I haven't harped a lot on Garrett. I just think he missed a lot. You better go out there in Florida and prove it because this one's on you. You get a mulligan. From me, you're going to get a mulligan. Better show up against Florida. I will get him on this one, though. I don't really think you did a lot of positive things offensively. I think Barryon did a lot of positive things. I don't know if you as a team collectively did a lot of positive things. I said on Saturday night after the show, I felt like Barryon Brown offensively was the only person that was locked the frick in. Garrett's got to run the ball. Guys, he's bailing on there. I have 4 times when he bails from a pocket where there is no pressure. There's no pressure. And he's bailing. There are times like the Chris Hilton interception in the end, or Chris Hilton incompletion in the end zone, where Chris has got to come from the far hash and knock the ball away or it's getting picked. Guys, there's a really strong chance that you could have had 2 interceptions in this game. Really strong chance. When he's rolling left and there's nobody 10 yards ahead of him, he's got to go. I understand trying to get Chris Hilton involved. I get it. I get what he's trying to do. Again, I understand the thought and the logic. I understand the thought and the logic. What I don't understand is why you keep looking so sloppy. Why some of the bad decisions aren't made. When you're making good decisions, look what happens against Clemson. We'll see. All right. I spent all that time and didn't talk about the defense. What do you want me to say? That they keep completely dominating people? That the truth of the matter is, guys, I do think that you're okay. I think defensively right now, you should feel on cloud nine about where you are. You have not lost focus. Blake Baker did everything I thought he should have done. Talked about on Thursday, keys to victory, send pressure after their ass. Take it to their ass. And, guys, they did. They forced multiple 3-and-outs. A couple of drives where they hit a long play on you, and then you stopped them, and they punted away. Punt. You don't take – I mean, Ashton Stamps catches the pick. Javian Toviano doesn't blow a coverage because they're not scoring. The last 2 weeks, or really the last 6 quarters, in my humble opinion, you've flat out dominated your opponent defensively. You have been able to stop them in the run game. You have been really good in coverage. Mansour Delane has been a stud. A.J. Halsey's lighting people up. Harold Perkins is all over the place. Patrick Payton's all over the place. The interior defensive line's playing great. The Weeks brothers are playing great. How about this? In the year of 2025, of the year of our Lord, whether it be spring football, fall camp, or whether it be Clemson or whether it be Louisiana Tech, nobody has presented a game plan or have been able to do things against you that show that this defense is not going to be really freaking good and is not really good. You're really good at all 3 levels. I'm going to say something that's a little controversial. This week with Florida is a massive test for you because this team wants to be very physical. They have a very physical running back. They have a very physical attack. They have playmakers at wide receiver. They can get to you sideline to sideline. They can pound the ball on you. And really and truthfully, guys, Jaden Ball wasn't the reason that Florida lost. You have a really, really good challenge ahead of you. DJ Lagway has not looked good the first 2 weeks of the season. Can you make it 3? Because I got to see this defense consistently have a bad day or bad day all day for me to think that you're not a top, I got to say it, top 15, a top 10 defense. And maybe you're not going to be. Maybe you haven't been tested the way that you need to be tested. But, man, name an area where you think that they're not good at minimum. Last year, I will say this. Last year, you struggled against physical opponents. USC wasn't really physical. I don't know if Clemson's very physical. You struggled against very physical opponents and physical rushing attacks. This is another one. I do think that this team, for what it's worth, I do think internally there was a thought defensively that they don't want Florida to score a point, and they are. They are. They're going to make plays on you. We're just going to have to live with it. Because you're in a rotation where Ashton Stamps is your 4th corner. That was a starter for you a year ago. And it's unfortunate if you want him to play or not play, DJ Pickett and PJ Woolen have those roles along with Mansour Delane. And that is your rotation. Is this defense going to continue to prove us right? I don't know what you want me to say against and recap Louisiana Tech. They dominated. They were great up front. They were physical. They pushed this offensive line around. They went man-to-man in most situations. They covered really well. They flowed really well from the linebacker position. I don't think that Louisiana Tech had remotely a decision of what to do with Harold Perkins. I thought Perk was really good, and the linebackers were really good in run fits. I thought Don McKinley in back-to-back weeks has done an exceptional job, damn near sometimes in some extents, an elite job at taking on double teams and stuffing run plays for the Weeks brothers to be able to make tackles. I don't know what you want me to say other than they've been so freaking good. Can you take it into another week and do it will be the question. All right. I do think I see a lot of you. I do think this defense is good. I see you in the comments. I agree. All right, let me get to a quick break. We'll talk about some of the things that Brian Kelly said in his press conference. We'll kind of look ahead a little bit to Florida, some of the announcements they had today as well. Stay with us. Hey, Southwest Louisiana. Are you ready to gear up for your next outdoor adventure or tackle that next big job on the farm? Then head on over to Henderson Tractors, Boats, and Power Sports. At Henderson and Lake Charles, they've got everything you need under one massive 30,000 square foot indoor showroom. Kubota tractors and mowers to power through the toughest tasks. Polaris off-road bikes and side-by-sides to conquer any trail. And tracker boats with brands like Ranger, Nitro, Sun Tracker, and Regency pontoons for a day out on the water. Whether you're a farmer or a hunter or just someone who loves the great outdoors, Henderson has what you need to get the job done and have fun while doing it. Browse their new and used inventory over at their website, hendersonimplement.com. That's hendersonimplement.com. Or give them a call today at 337-436-4366. That's 337-436-4366. Or go see them over in Lake Charles on the corner of East McNee Street and Highway 14. Remember, if you need a tractor, go to Henderson. Need a boat? Go to Henderson. Or if you need an ATV or side-by-side, you know where to go. Henderson. Just let them know that your good friend Blake Ruffino over at AYS sent you on by. Guys, let me tell you about our good friends over at Grand Slam Heating and Air, where your comfort is their top priority. At Grand Slam Heating and Air, they promise to provide customers with high-quality HVAC service at an affordable price while ensuring the homeowner peace of mind. From their office to your home, they guarantee the best hassle-free experience around. Efficiency and comfort is their game. Let them make your home Grand Slam today. At Grand Slam Heating and Air, they're offering their annual maintenance plan starting off at $18.75 a month and also doing those $99 tune-up promotion. They provide free estimates for system and ductwork replacement as well as offering financing to get the job done with no money up front. From Baton Rouge to Hammond to Covington, they're all around. So what you need to do today, give them a call at 225-380-9065. That's 225-380-9065. Or go over to their website, getgrandslamair.com. That's getgrandslamair.com, where your comfort is their top priority. We're back. Clinton Phillips says they were too fast for our O-line. Yeah, and listen, that linebacking core exceptionally was for Louisiana Tech. That is for sure. That is 100% for sure. Brandon Reese says Pickett and Delane can be one of the better duos in college football going forward. They can, and I think Woodland plays a massive role in that too. Plays a very massive role in that too. Thought DJ Pickett had a great game. Their wide receivers are probably one of the worst that I think that you'll see all year because I still think Southeastern might have some better have the better receiver core there. That's my opinion. Southeastern's got some dudes that can run. They're not going to score on you, or they're not going to do great on you, I should say, but they got some guys that can run. They have some guys that can run. Let's get to this injury news very quickly. I know that you've probably heard about everything that's happening. You know the status of Braylon Moore and Trey'Dez Green. Let's get to Trey'Dez Green first. I do think Trey'Dez Green, we dodged a massive bullet here. Having an MCL sprain instead of an ACL is massive. Is it going to suck not having him the next couple weeks? Yes, it does. You know what it also forces you to do? It also forces you to be more dynamic in your pass game. I think you're trying to get Bowersharp and Trey'Dez the ball, or you're trying to get them implemented when it just should be Trey'Dez. If you want to get Bowersharp in there in some run situations, fine. Fine. Do whatever you want there. Trey'Dez Green is the better guy when it comes to catching the football. Bowersharp is going to have to be very consistent in both areas. You have to get somebody out there that's more reliable in the pass game. I'm not saying Bowersharp isn't. He's had a little bit of the drop season. Guys have been able to cover him in the last 2 weeks. I think both of them serve a role. I do think, ironically, it serves you to be what could be a weakness for you and be more dynamic in the pass game. And you're trying to do too much with him. Throwing him an inside slot fade, not being in the red zone, is not what I would do with him. Let him run a quick hitch. Let him run a mesh route. Let him run a drag. Because that is more advantageous than getting a high-risk throw that you have not shown in 2 years that you could be able to do, to be able to get him in the flow of the game and let those safeties walk up so then he can get vertical. So it's bass backwards on what you're trying to do here. I do think, however, in reference to the injury, Brian Kelly saying it's an MCL sprain. He said normally you can come back from these things pretty quickly. I don't know if he's coming back this week, and I don't know if you even chance it. Let's see. When I go to my handy-dandy doctor here, hashtag Google, and I say MCL sprain, and I say timetable or time to heal, it says potentially 1 to 3 weeks. Grade 1. Grade 2 is healing maybe 2 to 6 weeks. I have no idea where it is, who it is, and it's not my decision. We're just basically going to have to monitor this week and next week and continue. I will say this. If he's not playing this week, I'm not playing him against Southeastern. I'm just not. Next week. I will not play him next week versus Southeastern. I think it makes no sense. Why would I know you would want to try to get him the ball, get connections and all that. I get all of that. But why would you do that? Makes no sense to me. You got a break there. It's a massive blow. He's out for a game, maybe 2, and maybe he's back by Ole Miss. And that is a massive relief. Let's get to Braylon Moore. Brian Kelly in his press conference today said that it is, to all of their indications, not a high ankle sprain. Okay. Then what is it? Let me tell you what I loathe. What I loathe is follow up the question. If it's not a high ankle sprain with Braylon Moore, what is it? Says he feels really good today. Guys, they were warming him up on the sidelines and they put him in a boot. I really, really wondered if this would have happened against Florida, if they would have given him a shot. If it's not a high ankle sprain, tape it, get some meds in you, and go for it and see what happens, I guess. We will have to monitor that one. But I think we got a little lucky in what this could have been. Brian Kelly could have came out easily today and say Trey'Dez Green will be out for the season. And he could have easily said that Braylon Moore will be out for multiple weeks. And that would have been a bummer. I think right now, and I don't mean this in any kind of way, the Braylon Moore news is more significant than all of them. You can't lose the offensive lineman of the week from week 1. You just can't. You just can't. He does so many things for your offense. He actually knows the assignments and can tell Paul Mabenga and can tell Josh Thompson what they need to do. You flow better. You are better. And I wonder if protections are better. I wonder the status. Like, what happens if you're in a situation where all of a sudden Garrett Nussmeier's decision-making and protection, and he's got more protection, and the run game gets better. All this stuff gets better if Braylon Moore comes in against Florida. That will be a massive question. Brian Kelly was asked today about Garrett Nussmeier. Says the standard is so high, there are some things he needs to clean up. The standard is high here, yes, but the standard is high because of what we think he can be. Guys, let's just be real. Did Joe or Jaden or anybody that we've seen take massive leaps? I think of Bo Nix, by the way, in that discussion. I think of a lot of really good quarterbacks. They're in their 5th year. Guys, when they play opponents like this, they dominate. They dominate. You know it and I know it. Garrett's got to go out there and show it against Florida. He's got to. It's more than things to clean up because now this is a year and 2 games where you are missing stuff. Guys, I could count 3 times in the second half where Aaron Anderson's on a drag or Xavion Thomas is on a drag or Barryon Brown's on an in route where he's wide open and he's throwing it to a guy that's covered. He's getting confused. I will say this, and I didn't really want to say it in the Louisiana Tech thing, but I'll say it here. I think that you got out-coached by Louisiana Tech, but they didn't have the athletes to outperform you in. And I think that to some extent, they kind of got after you. So I think it's more than just cleaning up some things. Brian Kelly, we'll get to this in a minute, previewed Lagway and Ball, the quarterback and running back. We'll talk a lot about them tomorrow and Wednesday. Listen, man, I think they present a lot of problems, or can present a lot of problems. I think your defense is really good. It's going to be interesting to see how South Florida attack this offense if you can replicate it. One thing that's interesting, I think they're a very physical unit. I don't think that they've been good in the first 2 weeks offensively. What I will say is, because South Florida dominated them in the second half. That South Florida defense dominated them in the second half. It's a tricky, tricky thing. Doesn't mean that you do it. The red zone. Let's talk about the red zone a minute. Guys, you've been abysmal in the red zone the last year and 2 weeks from an offensive standpoint. When Brian Kelly normally comes to a podium and says something more than once, but definitely starts talking about it 3 or 4 times. Guys, today in his press conference, he said 3 times, we got to stop getting field goals in the red zone. We got to get touchdowns. That has been a problem for you. It's been a problem. You know why it's a problem? Because you can't run the football. If you can't run the football in the red zone, you're going to have to settle for field goals. You will get beat if you can't convert. You just will. What are we trying to accomplish there? When the field shrinks, what are we trying to accomplish? Don't overthink the situation. Utilize your playmakers, utilize them in space with the limited space that you do have. Like, guys, let me give an example. We run a lot of drag and mesh concepts to some extent. We do. We don't hit them enough. We're always trying to go from the third level when you could, guys, there were 3 times in the red zone, it's damn self, where you have Aaron Anderson or Xavion on a drag that they are open and you got to hit them. I don't understand why you kept ramming your head up against the wall in the fourth quarter and kept trying to run the football right at them when you couldn't do it. You're missing a 6-7 target in the red zone. You can't do that either. Do you not trust Barryon Brown? Do you not trust Aaron Anderson? Do you not trust Xavion Thomas? Do you not trust Nick Anderson? Because Nick Anderson can be a weapon in the red zone. Get him in there. Get him in there. Find out what you can do. All right. Preparation must be elite every week. I feel like Brian Kelly today subtly took shots at the offense. He talked about some people had focus. He's talking about the defense. Some people didn't. He's talking about the offense. You do got to show up every week if you want to be consistent in this league. Brian Kelly did go on a rant on Billy Napier. I mean, a coach defending a coach, he should. He 1,000% should. All right. Dane, I say you have a super chat in here. We'll get to that in just a second. Just a quick, brief preview of this Florida team. Guys, we'll preview them a lot tomorrow. We'll talk about them a lot with Carter. We'll talk. David Waters will join us on Wednesday. But there is some things we need to monitor with them. They're really, really good edge player. LJ McCray is out for the season. Caleb Banks, their All-American interior defensive lineman, has been out the first 2 weeks. What is his status? Billy Napier said 2 weeks ago that he thought getting Caleb Banks back by LSU week was the goal. Let's see what happens there. I do not know. Guys, here's the truth, too. I watched a lot of Florida in the last 24 hours. DJ Lagway has not been good. Do not give him the ability to be good against you. I'm very interested to see how this environment gets to him, if at all. I think if you are just your normal LSU fan base, you are going to get to them from the crowd perspective. I really do. I think it's not something that in any breakdown it's going to be talked about. Death Valley is going to be rocking on Saturday. I can feel it in my bones. I can feel it in my bones. He's not looked good. He's made a lot of bad decisions too. Can you get to him? And last but not least, before we get to the super chat and some other things here, maybe a couple other comments. Ron Roberts used to be the head coach of Southeastern. Southeastern ran a 3-3-5 stack. They have been more multiple at his time in Florida because of the defensive lineman he has. I am massively, if Caleb Banks plays, I am massively worried about your interior offensive line minus Braylon Moore. I am terrified, to be honest with you. You have not been good there. I've seen some people blame Weston Davis. I mean, if LJ McCray and they're kind of down at edge, can Weston Davis hold up? I am terrified of what Caleb Banks, if healthy and ready to go, will be able to do with you or to you. Legitimately. You have a chance to be 3-0. And guys, you play Southeastern and they're not going to beat you. They're not. If you can get out of the month of September undefeated, guys, as good or bad as this offensive system has been, or offensive personnel or play calling or whatever, we got a serious conversation we got to have. You have 8 more games. 8 more games. You got to win 6 of them. You got to win 6 of them. All I care about is you get into the playoff, because I think if you get there, you can make a run. Especially if you get a home game. This week's big, man. It's a massive, massive game. Massive game. Will you be able to execute will be the question. All right. Dane Bergeron with a $5 super chat. Blake, you need to go to the press conferences and ask the questions others are afraid to ask. It's just like, am I going to go there for a 15-minute conversation? If it's not a high ankle sprain, then what is it? Brambo says this one is the most important of September. Yeah, you could say it is. I think week 1 was pretty important too, to get off to the right start. But yeah, listen, you got to win this one for you. You got to go take it to them. I'm going to be really interested to see how this offense bounces back. You have here's the thing that pisses me off about the offense, and I mean this. What makes me upset about some of the things that I see offensively is I feel like that you have the talent, right? Like, I feel like you have talent receiver. I feel like you have talent at running back. I think that you should probably just put Xavier at running back and say, Chris, Nick, can you go out at X and make something happen? Like, I think you're really good at tight end. I think you have recruited well along the offensive line. So to see them constantly struggling, and whether it be from a play calling aspect, from Garrett missing wide open guys, from making bad throws on fade routes, from missing deep drags, whatever, not being able to run the football, whatever it is, the frustrating part about this LSU offense is simple, is you know that they have the talent to be better than what they've been. Blake, it's been 2 weeks. Yeah, you've scored 40 points. And when you are in that situation, When you're in a situation where, man, you're really good defensively, they keep forcing punt after punt after punt, 3 and out after 3 and out after 3 and out. I know that you had some long field position situations. There were moments and times where you didn't. You know, Brian Kelly today talked about special teams. Well, we shouldn't have kicked it right at somebody. That was on us. I thought you were going for onside. You shouldn't. I actually rewarded you for being aggressive there. Because how many times does your defense have to force a 3 and out for you before 23 points is just unacceptable? You've had situations like this in the Brian Kelly era, though, I might add. Auburn. Blake, are you comparing Auburn to Louisiana Tech? No. Well, I mean, Auburn did kind of lose to New Mexico a couple of seasons ago in Diego Pavia. So I don't know, but you get what I'm saying. Because you've had performances where Jane Daniels had 80 passing yards. Not in his second year, though, as a starter. You got to be better. The frustrating part is that you know that you can be so much more. And that's the part right now through 2 weeks. You just feel like, and I feel like, that we've left so much out on the field. That's the frustrating part in all of this. Yeah, Brambo, I see your comment. I passed it up. I do wish that we had a power back that you could utilize. Go put your head down and get 6. I thought that would be Caleb Jackson, but guys, everybody keeps saying Caleb Jackson sucks. Guys, the 4 carries that he's got, y'all do realize he's getting hit in the backfield. Someone please explain to me what you want him to do there. He's getting tackled in the backfield and you're blaming him. Like, some of this stuff, like, I know I got in a conversation about the Aaron Anderson drop in the end zone. He's throwing it to Trey Ayers. That's a drop. I'm not going there. I'm just not going there. A fully extended guy, when it hits his fingertips, is a drop. Y'all crazy. Regardless of that. Like, you're just missing so many things. Easy things. Arctic Tiger with a $2 super chat. Arctic, did you have a comment here? I'm going to wait a second so that you can try to type it out. But I see your super chat here. Thank you so much for the super chat. Gibbs says, bottom line is Garrett should have mastered progressions by now. There's no reason to miss wide open guys. No, there's not. There's not. I mean, guys, against any opponent, it's not. Arctic says, could we be conservative because of the defense? Yes, you could be, but why do that against Louisiana Tech when you know that they can't score? You get what I'm saying? Like, why are you conservative against Louisiana Tech? Like, are you being conservative because now you want to really open up things against Florida? I mean, you've been conservative the last 2 weeks. So what's your excuse? I understand what you were trying to do against Clemson and how you wanted to win that game. What's your excuse against Louisiana Tech? Now, you could say that they really weren't conservative. I don't know that they were conservative in a lot of situations. I think you can make the argument that, look, they tried to push the ball down the field. Garrett kept missing. Or you had a drop. That could be – I mean, they did try to get the ball down the field going back and looking at it. But your inability to hit it was atrocious. It was atrocious. All right. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Y'all have a great night. Do us a favor. If you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button if you're on YouTube. Hit the like and share as well if you don't mind. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Peace.